Hello there, and welcome to Fixing the Sequel Trilogy, the Writers' Room podcast dedicated to fixing the Star Wars sequels. This month, we've put together our best ideas for Episode 8, and we're throwing them out into the world. I'm Bryce Quinn, and I'm joined by a spiritually and physically defeated man, Carmelo Keating.
Yeah, that checks out. I'm pretty tired this week.
You know what? I actually wrote that intro before you came home last night, and we're at like cloud 9.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to redact that one.
No, that's fair.
You're feeling great.
I am feeling great. I'm tired, but like feeling really motivated and really satisfied. Had a massive project over the weekend.
Yes.
And it went really well.
I'm also joined by my second favorite unemployed person, Sandro Karayan.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Wait, who's your first?
Me.
mate?
Himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Still looking for work. Here we go.
Yeah, you'll be fine. We've been quietly tinkering on some new ideas for the sequel trilogy, in particular Episode 8, or our version of Episode 8. We each have a loose collection of notes that we'll be presenting and discussing, and we're a little more familiar with each other's work this time on account of how rowdy it's getting and how crazy the pitches are getting. I don't know if they're that crazy.
There's going to be chairs thrown in this episode.
And we don't even have any.
Where would you like to begin, Mel?
Well, I'd like to begin with a little disclaimer. If you're looking for context, go and listen to every other episode we've ever made.
No. You could listen to episode 30, which is
We fixed
the Force Awakens.
Yep.
But I feel like that's a really good intro episode to this show.
Absolutely.
That's our quote. Final treatment of episode 7.
Yeah, well, it's our current treatment of episode
Yeah.
7, and we're still working on that one. We've got some ideas. I'll be throwing out
we're
today
going to
for
retcon stuff today.
We're going to go
already.
back and do some rewriting already. The things we figured out. But
Yeah, so what you're going to be listening to today is we're each going to pitch our ideas for episode 8 individually, and I think that's just where we get started.
I also thought it'd be fun to start with the title.
Oh,
Because
please.
we have an
yeah.
idea for a title, and as I said in the intro, it's getting a bit rowdy.
Is
Bear
it-
with us on this one.
Is it that one?
Yes.
I'm showing Bryce a note. Yeah,
Yes.
cool. I like that one.
So, right now, we've got episode 8, Lord of the Underworld, which is very hardcore.
Yeah.
It's very Doom.
Very
It's
fantasy.
very fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. It's slowly growing on me. I'm still not sure about it. I was thinking also potentially Lords, plural, of the
Lords.
Underworld.
Yeah.
But we're messing with it.
And we can detail the train of thought there. We'd been toying with the idea of like something similar in a way to the Phantom Menace, but
Yes.
like less of a goofy title, I
Yeah.
think. Because I hit the guys the other day with one was straight up just
The looming threat.
that was terrible. No, just straight up just the Underworld.
Yeah,
you
or
know?
the Underworld.
You
Yeah.
never get those single word subtitles in
Yeah.
Star Wars. But we are also talking about this like, there's this underworld, but there's this figure.
Yeah.
And you've never seen Lord used in a Star Wars
It's
title.
true, even though they have like Lord Vader
Yeah, all
and
that
Lord
shit.
Sidious and stuff. But and I think it follows the trend of having the second movie in the trilogy be that darker tone, Attack of the Clones, and then in particular Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Feel that ominous kind of sense of dread or sense of like impending battle or impending violence.
And for reference, I think we were, by the end of it all, we were still happy with The Force Awakens being The Force Awakens.
Yes, I think we like The Force Awakens. I think we've got to do a little bit more work to make the title stick.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a fantastic title for Episode 7 and what it can mean
it
that
does.
we haven't really felt a strong need to go away from it yet.
Yeah.
I think it works too well just in like referencing multiple different things throughout the movie that
exactly.
like it feels like it fits. It's a good title.
Yeah, and then ideally, same deal here. Lord of the Underworld has a few different meanings.
Exactly.
So,
Anyways, that's the title we're kind of working around right now. And Melo, you've requested to go last.
yeah, if that's all right.
No,
I think
no
mine's a
worries at
bit
all.
just, it feels a bit, I think it'll be a bit lengthy. So
Yeah,
Right,
I've got
right.
a pretty short beat sheet here, which I've now incorporated some of the ideas you've thrown out, Sandro. So I can jump in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm stealing from you
Okay.
because
Well,
it helps like lock things into place structurally.
okay. Well,
for me.
I mean that makes sense. I mean, in that case, then do you want me to go first?
Sure, if you want. Yeah,
the original.
I mean, if you're still in stuff from me,
yeah, I am.
and I'm probably comfortable because I'm just like a lot of mine's written. I know like
You're just recounting the same
There's some
sort of-
retcons coming from you guys, but like mine's pretty much coming straight off the back from the We Fixed the Force Awakens
Yep.
pitch.
Go for it.
Alrighty, episode 8. We start with Finn and Chewie investigating Kijimi. Now, Kijimi is the planet from Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Kijimi. I thought it was maybe one of the planets that stuck out the most. I like that it has like this very like Nepalese mountain
it's like
sort of
space
structure.
Nepal. Yeah.
Yeah. Except I want to expand on it a little bit. So on the planet of Kijimi, I'd like it to have what we've already seen, but I would also like it to have a semi-Coruscant kind of underground to it. Nothing like quite as deep, but definitely a very densely populated underground full of mercenaries and all sorts of shady characters. Also on Kijimi, I would like to see like a Kyber mine. Now, I'll get to that Kyber mine in a second. So, Finn and Chewie investigate Kijimi, which is currently blockaded by the First Order. They meet up with a contact, Poe Dameron. Poe is a resistance fighter who is hiding in the underworld of Kijimi, trying to rally support against the First Order blockade.
Yeah. Resistance, but still operating outside of the bounds of the New Republic, yeah?
Yeah, well, resistance is like
That's
Leia's
what we're
thing.
implying, yeah.
Yeah, I was also thinking that resistance maybe also just in broad strokes, like he's just not cool with the blockade and he wants to get rid of
Or
it.
maybe he's like, local.
Yeah, I'm just saying that because we never actually defined a name for what that group would be called.
Oh, I pitched for the resistance.
Yeah. I'm pitching something else. But
Fair enough.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm just working with resistance.
Yeah.
It's like, it's what we
It's
got.
familiar.
Yeah. So on the other side of the galaxy, we see Rey training with Luke. I'm thinking similar vibes to how we see it in The Last Jedi, except Luke being a much more willing participant to train Rey.
Yeah.
Rey's prior experience with Ben leads her down similar trains of thought, and this concerns Luke, gets him a little uneasy. Moving on to Ben, I want Ben to find out that Rey is a Force child, and Ben's motive during this film is to convince Rey to join the dark side as a dyad. I'm thinking that he'll reveal that Rey's a Force child around the second to third-ish act. How he finds out about this, I'm currently unsure. I'm thinking from the First Order. I know Bryce has a very interesting pitch coming up, though. The First Order in this film are heavily occupying Kijimi, as I previously mentioned, because it contains a kyber mine previously owned by the New Republic, aka Hux. The lack of supplies from the First Order's occupation on Kijimi has led to citizens struggling in the streets, being kept in line by troopers. During this, the underbelly thrives as the mob boss of Kijimi, the Gendai, has made a deal with the First Order. I'm imagining somewhere through, like halfway through the story, that Rey leaves her training to help her friends on Kijimi, and Luke, rather than stopping her, learns to trust in the Force rather than push against it. Whilst on Kijimi, I have this scene playing out in my head where Rey gets lost in said kyber mine and finds her very own kyber crystal through a sort of Dagobah-esque challenge within the mine.
Now, does she, in your mind, succeed in that challenge? Because Luke failed in the cave on Dagobah.
I'm imagining it playing out later in the film because I want her to succeed in said challenge, and that is why the crystal decides to reveal itself to her.
Cool.
I want her to be playing more with like the darker thoughts within the first half of the film, and it's learning to overcome that is what brings the crystal to reveal itself. I had some thoughts about the theme of the film. I thought it would be interesting to have the theme be centered around destiny and having why destiny shouldn't control or define you. Rey is told she is inherently of the dark side, being a Force child of Sidious, and learns to reject this. Finn feels destined to be constantly set in this role as a foot soldier, firstly for the First Order, now for the Resistance.
Yeah, right.
And decides to become a leader. And then our change maker. And then our antagonist Ben believes only in following easy answers under the illusion of destiny. So he's sort of like the counter theme, I guess. I'm not sure what you would call that, Bryce.
Anti-theme,
yeah. Feeling that not only himself but Rey too is destined for the dark side. After enhancing their relationship through the dyad, Ben is left with nothing after Rey rejects him. He lost the light in episode 7, and he has found nothing in the darkness in episode 8. He has now become a Ronin, a Jedi with no allegiance or guide in the Force. And then I also just had some I also had this whole paragraph. You guys already heard this. I don't know how this movie is going to end. I want it to end sort of bittersweet. I don't want it to have as dark of an ending as we already got in Empire.
7? Oh, Empire.
And I don't want to do the traditional second movie thing with Empire and Attack of the Clones, mainly because we had a big dark ending. I remember when we were talking about episode 7, we were talking about episode 7 now being a big scary ending where we
it
sort
is
of have
uncharacteristically dark of an ending for the first
for
movie
the first movie, but I think it's a good way of going about it because we're coming from this very peacetime era, and we're watching it get destroyed, so it makes sense for it to be a bit of a downer ending. So I'm hoping for maybe a bit more of an upper ending, but still some sad moments by the end. And then random crazy ideas. I put out that Phasma should be the Knight of Ren, and all her
that's right,
lieutenants are the Knights. Poe Dameron dies in a dogfight. I'm imagining him showing up in this movie and then dying in this movie.
I think it's perfect.
You need to give him lots of screen time.
more for progression for Finn than anything else.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, something that's a bit contentious for Mello, especially.
Yeah.
Poe flies a modified E-wing.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. I famously think the E-wing looks fucking ugly.
I think it's cool.
And all you Legends fans are going to attack me in the comments.
You
if you
E-Wings
do.
fans, boys.
Yeah, but it just doesn't look that nice.
I wanted an old ship, and I think like him doing the modifications, similar to how he did the modifications for an X-wing to his X-wing, but I just don't want an X-wing.
I don't want an X-wing either. No, I feel you for sure.
And an A-wing is boring to me.
Yeah, right. Sure. So when you say a modified E-wing, now I've just had that thought. A modified E-wing, does that mean you can modify it to not look
Like a
fucking
sad
ugly?
dog?
Yeah.
I want it to still look like a sad dog.
Why?
It has this like jet fighter aesthetic, but still enough that it doesn't feel
Sad jet fighter aesthetic.
Yeah, sad
feel
jet fighter.
too much exactly like a jet fighter. If the wings were directly horizontal,
It's just a jet.
it's just a jet, and I'm not interested in that. I like the wings pointing down, similar to the gunship. It's cool. It's fun.
The gunship is cool because it's sharp angles.
The
you know?
E-wing is sharp angles.
No, it's a
It's
slope.
rounded.
It's
It's
curved.
rounded.
For
It's
anyone who's confused about
only sharp
what we're
angles.
saying, go look up the E-wing. It looks like sad dog ears turned down.
It's sharp angles turned into a curved shape overall.
right.
The
okay.
overall
Yeah.
curved shape using sharp angles.
And also,
Okay.
it reminds me of something from like Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica, and I don't like Star Wars being
Those.
compared to those things.
I like the E-wing.
Anyway, outside of this discussion about ships, Sandra, I like quite a lot of those ideas.
Yes, for
Hence why
sure.
I've stolen them,
Yeah.
and they're mine now. But I noticed, just to point out some interesting things, we've talked about the Gendai a lot. You didn't mention them at all there. You also talked about Kijimi quite a bit. That's kind of like your big focus location.
Yeah.
And I think there was something else as well that kind of like differs. Coruscant.
Coruscant.
Coruscant,
Yeah.
yeah.
Coruscant. I'm flip-flopping after hearing some of your guys'
Yeah,
pitches, but like
Yeah.
I'll contribute to
we'll-
that when
we'll
we
get
get to
there.
those.
I think thematically though, you're onto some really cool shit there, especially with the way that Ben ends the film and ends the story and stuff.
My only current issue is Exegol stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get onto that because there's some really interesting Exegol stuff coming from you too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. My version of Lord of the Underworld. We
Lord
begin.
of the Flies. Sorry. Just like now I hear it. I hear that now.
We begin with Ben Solo training with Darth Talon, who will be introduced retroactively in episode 7.
That's right. This movie, so we make episode 7, we don't change anything, and then this movie opens with a like
Just fucking new
amendments
character.
to episode 7.
Ah, imagine doing that. Anyway.
George.
No, I was thinking about fucking Palpatine.
I was thinking about Dooku.
Oh, Dooku, yeah. Anyways, Ben wants to gain the power he needs to get his revenge on General Phasma. That's his goal. That's
Yep.
his kind of
Yeah, yeah,
starting
yeah.
motivator. And that's
Yeah.
what Darth Talon offers to him.
Kill.
Kill General Phasma.
Yep.
The light reflection of this is Luke training Rey aboard the Radis in the ways of the Jedi, not on Arc-2, on board a spaceship. While there, Finn calls Leia and reports from the ground on Kijimi about the First Order's presence there alongside the New Republic. They're both there squabbling over Kyber crystals.
Yep.
Both are interested in the Kyber crystal caves and the mining operation on Kijimi. So that's kind of where we're beginning the story. Our characters all converge on Kijimi, Finn following leads with his new partner, Chewbacca, Rey going on a quest to find her crystal because she needs a lightsaber. She's going to build it on screen. And Ben trying and failing to bleed his Kyber crystal.
Yep.
That's kind of how he's starting off. He wants to cross that threshold, but he can't yet. Ben and Finn both cause trouble. Not sure how yet. Forcing Rey to quickly finish her trial, assemble her lightsaber, and escape Kijimi. Big, explosive kind of first act action sequence that brings all the characters together. And then they maybe split up. I'm not sure exactly. We move into the next part. Finn's investigation leads the story to a crime faction planet. We're going to come back to this in a second. I
Yep.
don't know anything about this
No,
planet.
that's chill.
Where we dive deeper into the underworld. Here we meet the Gendai, though we don't know it straight away. And our characters are trapped within a Thunderdome and forced to work together to escape. So
Yeah.
similar, honestly, to Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
But there's enough ways we can spin this to make it dissimilar.
Yeah.
And have a gladiator match of some kind.
You
I
gotta
think
have that balance.
Thunderdome. I'm coming around on Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I just do want to make sure it's like sort of within that fun and games area.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's around like the
Yeah.
midpoint.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this exactly is the midpoint. Ben gets his chance to kill Phasma, but fails.
Okay.
Later on, he kills a different character, perhaps Poe Dameron, if he's in the story.
Okay.
A choice that torments him and drives a wedge between him and Rey. So this is the moment that Ryan Johnson wanted Han Han's death to be.
Yeah,
where
right.
it really fucks him up inside
Yeah.
and makes him super conflicted because he's like, I've done the thing that is awful and I feel twisted and I feel like it's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So now I don't know what I'm supposed
Yeah,
to
it just
do.
shouldn't have been killing his
Question.
dad.
It shouldn't have been killing his dad.
unnecessarily.
Shouldn't have been in episode 7.
Quick question. So your Act 1 in Kijimi, how does that end?
I'm not
Like,
sure.
okay, gotcha.
Well, it ends with like I'm not sure what causes the action scene, but it ends with Rey putting together the lightsaber and escaping and getting away from the
Right.
fight.
But we know Kijimi from Finn's investigations
Yes.
run by the Gendai.
No, not
No.
necessarily.
Okay,
That's the
gotcha.
mining operation. The investigation leads further down the rabbit hole to this crime planet. That's why they're there.
Okay.
And so while they're investigating, they get caught up in the Thunderdome, the big fight, and everything, and Ben gets a chance to kill Phasma and fails. Despite Luke's counsel, now we're heading into the third act, the investigation leads Rey to Coruscant, where she must navigate the abandoned megacity and explore below the ancient Jedi temple to find the Sith temple beneath. She encounters Force visions and specters of the dark side and must confront her origins and learns there about being a Force child of Palpatine. Ben goes on a similar journey, this time forcing his Kyber crystal to bleed in an imperfect way, something we've talked about before as well. We get that like imperfect crackling crystal, which we all agree rocks.
Yeah.
Ben and Rey's mirror journeys conclude with a confrontation with the Gendai on Coruscant. Meanwhile, Rey has left behind Luke, and Finn returns to Arc 2 to help him defend from the First Order, who have come to kill all the younglings and wipe out the Jedi.
Bruh.
Which feels tacked on here, and I think it's one of these tricky things I'm struggling with, where it feels like a right part of this trilogy, but I'm not quite sure where to put it. It may not fit in this movie. I'm still not sure.
So Ben going to Arc 2?
No, sorry, Luke and Finn
Oh, Luke and Finn. Gotcha.
are on Arc 2 defending the younglings.
I
and
get
the Jedi.
Luke. It's just like Finn.
Yeah, it feels weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd they get to Act 2? How'd they find the way to get there?
That is a good question.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I was
That
sure if you-
wasn't something I put
maybe
in there.
misheard. No, that's true.
And then Rey and Ben defeat the Gendai, and Ben feels more lost than ever. Once again, caught between light and dark. Rey has learned her lesson, but too late, and returns to discover Luke is in a coma after the big battle. So yeah, that's kind of what I've got like structurally. You guys are asking a bunch of good questions. I don't have that connective tissue yet.
No, that's
I
true.
don't have
Gotcha.
like the bridges between each of these acts and these parts of the story.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining kind of like these events almost sort of like in sequence.
Yeah.
I get you.
I almost feel like out of like necessity for what feels rewarding to an audience, if we're having an investigation character,
Yeah.
he should be
The one who cracks the case and gets to the end.
and
Yes.
finds the Gendai. Yeah.
Exactly. But it felt weird having Rey and Ben confront the Gendai with Finn there. That doesn't feel like the right thing for me. I don't know.
Mm.
So that's why I was kind of like
If
confused.
you're
at the
gonna,
end.
if you're gonna reunite the hero trio, there's got to be a reason for all the trio to be there.
What I was thinking was potentially that Finn cracks the case, tells Rey, and then he's like, but it doesn't matter. Like, we don't have time. The First Order are going for the younglings. I have to go and defeat Phasma. Like, that's where my story's going. And Rey's like, well, my story's going this way. And so they kind of have like a parting of the ways sort of thing where Rey makes the wrong decision the same way that Luke did.
I'm confused. I think I just missed. Sorry, you talked very fast, and
Oh, sorry.
I lost like processing at a point there. Why does Rey have to go into like the Sith temple in Coruscant?
She's probably following a similar journey to Ben, where she's like the hints, or even a similar journey to The Last Jedi, where she wants to know about her origins, where that question has been raised earlier on in the film,
Gotcha.
and she wants the answer to that question.
Right. Okay.
And
So
then her
unrelated to the Gendai.
Unrelated to the Gendai, the Gendai is manipulating the underworld. He's the Lord of the Underworld.
Yeah.
And so with that investigation, Luke is trying to teach her and say, I was once exactly where you are now, and I made the wrong choice. I lost my hand, and I didn't gain anything from it.
Yeah.
Don't make the same mistake I did. And she chooses anyway to leave. And then that, leads to bad consequences
Yeah. Right. Okay.
kind of thing. So that's kind of what I was going for there. Again, I understand you guys being lost. There's not a whole lot of connective tissue
That's
there.
chill. That's chill. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So where do you see Ben ending?
Ben ends similar to where you put him because he's gone through all these trials. He has killed someone. He has bled his crystal,
Yeah.
but it's imperfect. It's an imperfect bleed, and he's the wandering Ronin at the end of the story.
Gotcha.
And so when we pick up in episode 3, I want the beginning of episode 9 to be them trying to bring Ben back to the light, and that's kind of like their quest that they're setting out to do
Mm.
because he doesn't have a purpose anymore. He's just lost and confused.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, obviously I like that. But I feel like Ben versus Rey should be our red versus blue in this movie.
Yeah.
So like having them confront the Gendai together kind of feels
That's a
bit
good
strange.
point because I did have it in my mind as like a battle with the Gendai because he should be physically very like fearsome.
Mm.
But yeah, no, you make a good point. There should be them fighting each other and like a battle of wills kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, you make a good point.
And also, I think it also helps enforce this lesson that to Ben, Ben relying on the dark side too much and realizing that it all comes to nothing.
Yeah.
There's this line from when Maul dies in Rebels, which I'm now coming back to because I'm thinking about it a lot, which is Maul says, like, look what you've become, nothing but a rat in the desert. And Obi-Wan says, look what I've risen above.
I forgot how hard that line hits.
fucking hard line.
It's great.
And it goes really hard, but I feel like that's the lesson that Rey teaches Ben in that fight and causes Ben to not even know what he relies on anymore.
Yeah. And just, like, question everything. Have
Yeah.
real no, like, foundation of what is true. Where should I go? What
Yeah.
is my destiny?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that structurally. Obviously, there's, like, a lot of work to do there, but I think a lot of those set pieces really compel me. I'm really excited about those set pieces and the potential of Kijimi, of the Crime Planet, and then of Coruscant. Like, those three things to me are really, like, standing out as, like, fuck, this rocks. I wanna make this happen.
Well, shall we?
Yes.
Now, the earliest thing I remember writing to do with Episode 8 was being inspired by Mad Max.
Okay.
Hence this idea of Thunderdome.
Yeah, that Thunderdome I took from you.
Yeah.
I'm a little thief boy for Episode 8.
No, do it though, because it's so much fun. And just I was gonna note before, it's like, with something like that, it's like, you try and make it distinguished from Attack of the Clones, whilst bringing in what that new inspiration is, but also, like, there is that visual repetition all throughout Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's a really great
they
link
repeat
to-
these motifs
Yeah.
and use a lot of the similar ideas.
Great way to link to the prequels there.
Yeah.
So
Just quickly, you mentioned
yeah.
that, Max. This is also a potential for us to bring back that early version of Jakku.
Yeah.
That was like this rust planet with the scrapyard and
Yeah,
everything like
it
that.
was.
And it was becoming really evocative, but we've moved away from it story-wise.
Potentially, yeah.
So to bring that back, like, visually, I think would be cool.
Gosh,
too.
Rust Town. Do you remember when Rey's mom had a red
Dude.
lightsaber?
I remember it fondly. You cunt.
Cut herself up like that. I remember the Luca Hulk city.
Yeah,
Rust
Luca Hulk
Town.
City
Yeah,
rocks.
that was
Yeah.
cool.
Sick.
Rust Town.
It's very cool. Just visually, it's
Rust Town.
So key inspirations I've got for this, I've written some. So Mad Max, I'll just go the entire universe. Indiana Jones.
Yep.
And The Godfather.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. No,
I mean, I
yeah.
can see where the Godfather's coming.
you get it. We know. Yes, identity and failure are the key themes I'm exploring here.
Gotcha.
Learning harsh lessons through failure. So yeah,
I really want to bring that failure thing back as well,
Absolutely,
because it's
like-
so strong in Last Jedi.
Here's the quick thing on The Last Jedi.
Yep.
Because we have spoken so much about this movie before.
It's a complicated film.
It is.
We have complicated feelings.
But it's like, okay, if you don't like the movie, can you at least acknowledge what they were trying to do?
Yeah.
You know?
And at least acknowledge that it had something to say,
Yeah.
as opposed to the other two. You know?
Yeah. Yes, it loses you with maybe an entire 2 storylines of the film.
Yeah.
But the main storyline.
But that
is
Rashomon
so
storyline,
close.
so good.
So close. Yeah. Anyway, so some retroactive stuff for episode 7 was the fact that there is this former apprentice of Darth Maul, Darth Talon, who I have renamed because remember we were doing this thing.
We
about-
have been talking about, like, what does the Sith mean and, like, what is the name
Yeah, and I
everything.
proposed that if she's here, she's not a Sith. She's
Yeah.
different. She uses a red lightsaber. She uses the dark side. So I've proposed simply name change, Lady Talon.
That's cool. I actually fuck
Lady
with that.
As in,
Yeah,
Lord,
that's fun.
Lord and Lady. Yeah,
That's
Lady-
cool. I
Lady
like that a
Talon.
lot.
Yeah. So after at the ending fight of episode 7, that Ben and Luke have, I had this idea that Luke falls from a great platform or something, and Ben, it gives enough distance between the two of them that Ben's able to presume him dead. He knows he's
Presume
not
him
dead.
dead. Okay.
He knows he's not dead. Truly.
Okay.
But he's presumed dead. And so Talon does the thing of like, Ben, join me, come with me, and together we can go defeat Phasma. And he's just like,
She takes a note out of Sidious's books and just out of nowhere starts saying, "The Jedi, they're taking over."
apart from that one that just fell from the platform. Yeah.
Good lord.
Yeah. Phasma and Talon have been in league, and 7 will establish that. That's a whole thing. And then it seems like, they both betrayed each other at the end of 7. It's all just, secrets and
Very much
lies
still
and
working out how
betrayal.
Talon features into
Yeah.
episode 7.
I have
but yeah.
a fun thing to bring up after Miller's
Okay.
pitch.
Yeah.
But in 8, look, Phasma and Talon are still in league. They're just keeping that from Ben.
Okay.
Okay.
Talon's leading Ben on the entire film
Interesting.
just to use him. That's their whole plan, is to use him.
Like
But
it.
then also, like, this thing I'll do in 9 where it's like Phasma's been using Talon the whole time. There's a whole super, like, sort of Palpatine-esque web of bullshit.
Yeah.
I think there's an interesting thing we get from Talon from both your two versions where you introduce Talon, and that's another source of information.
Yeah.
But now we have a few different key sources of information. We have Phasma, we have Talon, we have Luke for like the Jedi perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Lord Santeca for the Jedi perspective.
Lord Santeca. Fuck, I forgot.
Yeah.
And each one of them sort of needs like a piece of information that the other one has.
Yeah.
Or like they're sort of relying on getting something from them and in return trying to use it against them.
That's it. If all of these people settle their differences and put their heads together, they could solve
They could rule the galaxy.
climate crisis.
Or that.
Yeah. Anyway, so Talon's always planned on betraying Ben, though Talon sets Ben off on his journey through this film. Okay, so we begin this film with our heroes on an espionage mission to a Kyber planet. We're going to call it Kijimi. I'm going to steal from you guys once again.
Brilliant.
But I've some amendments to Kijimi. I had the idea that this Kyber planet is a monarchy, one of the last monarchies in the time post the Empire, because the Empire did a really great job of destroying them all and putting in their governors.
Hell yeah.
It'll be a new planet, one we haven't seen before, and it's kind of, it's not been known for long that it's a Kyber planet. I think maybe just the Empire knew. So the planet is in the midst of negotiating Kyber mining between the First Order and the New Republic. Both sides have a navy occupying the space above. Our heroes must open by stealthily navigating through there. And I thought maybe we even have a ship, something that we've only seen once before in Star Wars. Maybe we have a cloaked ship.
Cloaking technology.
It just feels wrong.
It is in Star Wars. It is canonical.
I'll give you like a gold star for trying to introduce new technology.
Yeah.
Like
So-
that is
What's the canon cloaking ship?
It's in Clone Wars. It's an experimental ship that the Republic uses in one episode. Yeah, but no one's ever used it before.
and then they
Wait.
skewer it right into
Wait,
a
what the fuck? I'm stupid. Sorry, no. They've been name dropping cloaking since Empire Strikes Back.
When did they do that?
The Falcon disappears, and they're like, it's off our scopes. That's impossible. No ship that small could have a cloaking device. We've just never seen it before.
Yeah, they just haven't really done it.
because they're
it's
all
not-
invisible.
Yeah, look, it's not a big deal. I'm just saying, like, it's a fun, cool little way to introduce our characters into this. Like, there's a big battle that both of these two warring sides would love to arrest our heroes.
Just quickly, as a potential like pitch and add on to bring that into the story, it would be interesting to have someone like Poe Dameron. It's like, oh, hey, this Poe Dameron guy, he has the ship that has the cloaking tech. He has like the experiments one or something like that.
Well, I will
and
introduce
that's why
that's
we're gonna work with this guy.
Oh yeah, well,
Something like that.
I will introduce him later. But here's a character who we could just right from the get go of the film, a character who I've never actually put in my story yet.
Babu Freak.
It's Babu Freak.
Well, okay, I was waiting.
Babu Freak could have a cloaking ship.
Babu. Oh, you think
Just Babu.
Or the cloaking engine or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like,
he's
he's got
an
it.
empire that has to be a large ship.
Yeah.
So do you think
this ship is not a big deal at all? By the way, I'm just saying.
No,
the
we've kind of
ship's
focused
cloaked.
on something stupid here.
Yeah. Side
But
tangent.
it leads to Babu Frick. All roads lead to Babu Frick.
To Babu.
All roads worth walking lead to Babu Freak.
You know, we should do this because we're calling this season 2. We should restructure the
should be a
board behind
big
us
picture of Babu.
so that everything leads to Babu.
That's genius.
That is
Oh,
genius.
that's brilliant.
We'll get to
Can we
that
do
later.
that, please.
Okay, both sides have a navy occupying the space above. Our heroes get to the planet. They must create a distraction and get the king alone. It's just he and Phasma, and obviously Phasma's inner circle. But basically, that's an inner circle that's not penetrable. They have what they need: the location of the Kyber weapons dealer / manufacturer.
Ah.
Yes. Fun little thing. Within this opening, we have Lucas trying to get Rey to use mind control on someone, but she's struggling. He helps her and eventually gets it. This whole try it again. More feeling. Don't think about it as much. And then eventually she gets it. Funny little bit of it shows Rey's progress too. Yes, so they cause their distraction. The negotiations explode. The First Order and the New Republic are fighting. Not to mention all these public protests in the streets of those who are for and against it. Everything boils over, and our heroes are thriving amidst all this chaos.
Nice.
They manage to get the king alone, and they get the location. Whilst on the planet, Luke and Rey, the heroes have to split off to go do shit. Luke and Rey experience an oracle, because it's this who's kind of like pure of the Force or something, as the planet is, it's rich in Kyber, it's got a strong connection to the Force. This oracle, in kind of like a Ben Kenobi on Hoth sort of thing, directs them to Coruscant.
Okay.
As kind of one of their key goals, and key goal for this film will be unlocking secrets to defeating the darkness.
The plot is that way.
Yeah, literally.
Go forth.
Yeah, so that's what I've written for now. I would love to try and evolve this so it's not so dumb. But right now it's the easy solution.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And we're early days.
Yeah.
But Rey and Ben's minds are obviously linked. And so, first time getting to see him in this film,
Yep.
he also experiences what she's talking about.
Ah, yeah.
Ben, who's in this nebulous state, he's off with Talon and he's training in unlocking the dark side. That's, he's willing to tap into it. He's not going full dark side. He doesn't want to go full evil.
Okay.
But he still has the same sort of hubris he had in the last film where he thinks he can be in control of this darkness. Obviously, that's not true and it will consume him if he lets it get too far. But yes, he now has his heading the same as they do. All roads lead to Coruscant, and that's what we find out from the king of this planet. The person who the carbon manufacturer lies in the depths of the post-apocalyptic destroyed city of Coruscant. Luke and Rey, they all head there. Luke and Rey part ways with the others in pursuit of the old Jedi temple. The rest of the heroes attempt to covertly investigate the underworld, but are caught by Poe Dameron, who's part of this grander network that is run by the Gendai.
Mm-hmm.
This nebulous figure, mob boss, weapons manufacturer. I was trying to find the answers of how to have this character talk to our main characters through the film before he really gets to be a villain. And I liked your idea you said of you don't know it's him.
Yeah. You go into this big room of people and it's like the big mafia table, everyone's talking, and the guy who's writing notes. That's the guy.
Yeah,
that's the guy
it.
masterminding everything.
And then, our heroes might be where's the Gendai? Where is this guy? You'll see him eventually.
Yeah.
He's in right there. Anyway, but Leia wants to, wants to meet the leader, wants to meet the Gendai, but they say they must pass the test before they do so, and it's a Thunderdome style cage match with Leia, Chewie, and Finn.
Leia,
Chewie,
and
Leia, Chewie,
the
and Finn.
test?
Sorry?
How's the Thunderdome the test?
This is how their archaic culture runs.
Okay.
If you survive the Thunderdome, you may talk to the big bad leader. No one gets to talk to this guy, No one gets to talk to this guy. And even still, as I said.
That feels more like no one talks to him, and if you want to, we throw you in the pit.
And
then you die.
Yeah, and then so no one
Because we
talks
want
to
to throw you in a pit.
Yeah.
He arranges meetings with you. Oh yeah, we got to keep. It's entertainment for people too.
Yeah.
Though. He arranges meetings with who he wants to, not vice versa.
The pit feels like a want, not a need, if you know what I mean.
I see what you mean. We'll work on it. But I tell you now.
No. Not for us.
Oh.
I mean the people.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, dude, absolutely.
I think meant for the writers.
They don't need the
The
pit.
people want the pit, and they use it as an excuse to go see the Gendai. They're like, oh, you want to see the Gendai? Well, we want to see you in a pit. So
Maybe it's something he's instituted. But I also like the idea that if Phasma had already had kyber technology, she would have had to meet the Gendai. Therefore, she would have had to have survived the fighting pit herself.
I dig that too.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
And so what they'd have on the wall, this is bullshit, in the sports bar is highlights of her cage match.
When you
The one victory.
you defeat 10,000 goons, you get a free
Free drinks for life.
Yeah, you know how a steakhouse will have an eating meal and they'll give you some cutlery or some shit.
Eating challenge,
What do they give Phasma?
I beat the Rancor and all I got was this stupid shirt. That's it.
You get a T-shirt. I survived the fighting
I survived
pit.
the pit.
I survived the fighting pit, the Coruscant fighting pit.
This is a serious suggestion. No, it's not. It's not. Back to the real story. This is going to take forever. Okay, so Rey and Luke are making their way through the temple.
Yep.
Rey and Ben's also made his way to the temple, parted ways with Talon. Then Talon's linked back up with Phasma. He's like, yo, we got a tracker on him. He's going to show us where to go. Let's go.
Yep.
And then Phasma gets to the planet as well.
Yeah.
Like real splinter squadron.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Who fucking knows?
So this is very much when you say the inspiration of Red is the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
in
Indiana Jones, yep,
It
yep.
is the villains pursuing, getting ahead,
yeah.
the heroes pursuing,
Yeah,
getting ahead.
yes.
And
Yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, all this, whilst we're on Coruscant, this is all second act. This is fun and games. This is all this stuff.
It's very much when Indy's at the bottom of the temple and Belloc is looking down.
Belloc.
He's like, thank you, Dr. Jones. You led me right to it.
Yeah. That. Oh, okay. So Rey and Ben are communing through the Force the whole time. She felt betrayed by him leaving. He hates that he left her. They are rekindling their friendship. A slight tinge of romance. Yeah.
No.
Yes, motherfucker. Romance.
Raylo? It's not even Raylo anymore. It's Ren.
How dare you? This is the second movie in the trilogy, and that's always where the romance is.
Ren.
it's still Raylo. It's Ben Solo.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
Now we could. What did you say you wanted it to be? Hooray.
If you
Ben Ray.
what happens if you put Palpatine and Solo together?
Oh,
Halo.
payload.
Anyway.
Okay.
Payload.
So yes, the villains are also navigating through the temple. Yada yada yada. Ben doesn't know, obviously, that he's being used. So, a moment that I thought was perhaps a good place for the midpoint after fun and games, or maybe this needs to happen earlier. Rey and Ben both bleed their crystals. They both have an opportunity within the temple.
They both do.
They both do it. Remember, there was this scene where they're doing it at the same time.
Okay.
And they're communing through the Force, and they're building their lightsabers, and it's this great moment. But there's something real different about it, and this is why I was thinking maybe the midpoint, because it's or maybe earlier. Again, I need to really look at the structure, but it's something that indicates change and difference and something unique within these two.
Yeah.
Because Rey's lightsaber is an off color. It's a kind of a green-blue. It's something a bit different, a bit confusing. And Ben's is, I was always thinking this like deep purple maroon, not red, but like he's really teetering on that edge, So these things visually to show, points of difference to what we've previously established. So at some point, Luke has an argument with Rey because this whole search for identity. She's come to this place searching for the same thing they're both looking for, secrets to help, destroy this darkness, but also she's motivated by, such as was in the film, a search for who her family was. She's never really thought about it, but the more that she's learning about the Jedi, the Force, the more she's learning about herself, she wants to know. But it's coming from this place of selfishness, So Luke and Rey have an argument because she's seemingly willing to use the dark side to get there. The allure of the temple, the secrets of her heritage, they're all there, and it's forcing her to unlock her own inner darkness. So she runs away from Luke, and they become separated. Not because the temple just doing, not because of the plot forcing them to be separated, but because of their own actions. Eventually, she does find Ben, though. They venture deeper into the temple. They work together to overcome some adversity. And I had, the idea of, because we spoke about this, fighting a monster. But I was thinking like a Balrog-sized monster, like draw inspiration from that scene in Lord of the Rings. But without their lightsabers.
Okay.
That's very crucial to me for later on.
If we fight a Balrog, I want to see them cut its arms off.
I know
with
you
lightsabers,
do.
Though.
I know you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. But anyway, it's obviously going to make a good team, a powerful team. Ooh, I wonder where this is going. Villains close in will comprise of a few different things. It's Rey and Ben learning of the dyad when they reach this key point in the temple and freaking out. Phasma and Talon also closing in. And then with that other plot point, it's the fact that the Gendai has finally been like, okay, enough is enough. Here's my revelation. And I had the thought that he sends henchmen to assassinate our heroes in their sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have too much for Finn's plot, but his whole thing is about becoming a leader. I'll get back to that later. But, I want to set him on this path of leadership to take us into episode 9. And he's also befriended Poe. They're starting to see eye to eye. I like the idea that, whilst Finn overcame his First Order stuff in the last film, he might still hold internal biases as to, like the fact that the First Order always held themselves in higher regard than the rest of the underworld.
Yeah.
And so here's Poe, who's this henchman of the Gendai, this real, scummy criminal that he would just look down on, and he's starting to understand that he's a human.
Yeah.
There's more to him there. Although I still have him as an alien, actually. Okay, villains close in. When Rey and Ben discover they are a dyad because of their lineages, Ben wants them to unite, and that together they can help conquer Phasma and Talon. He wants to be rid of Talon as well.
Right.
Rey is afraid of what she may become. It's a be careful what you wish for situation. That was the whole thing that Luke was trying to teach her. And she rejects Ben. He tries to stop her from leaving, but as in his past, his anger boils over and he physically stops her. The tension builds between the two until eventually lightsabers are drawn for the first time, and she sees the maroon, this almost red, and the fear has really set in there. So they fight. She does manage to escape. In tandem with Rey and Ben discovering that they are a dyad, it's them, both combining their force powers, using the force, and what it basically creates within the temple, or what the temple gives to them, is kind of like a holocron or a wayfinder. It's not. I don't want it to be too MacGuffin based, but it's basically something that gives them directions, and perhaps it's just within their minds, but it gives them directions to Exegol, this ancient Sith planet that Coruscant is linked to. Which, as we'll later find out, is the thing that this planet that is basically a like Starkiller base, but also like Exegol as it was in the film, has the ability to destroy planets that inspired the Death Star.
Yeah.
That Palpatine wanted to see to tell the Geonosians, hey, can we make the plans for this thing? Can this actually happen? So after Finn and Rey part ways, the outcome of their hubris, their mistakes, is that Phasma and by extension Talon get a hold physically of these directions to Exegol.
Yeah.
So, they've completely failed. So Luke and Rey do join up again, make their apologies, and they have to go help Chewie, Finn, Poe, Leia fight their way out from the Gendai. And by this point, Finn and Poe have rallied some of the more downtrodden members of the Gendai's regime, and they all combine to overthrow their wealthy overlords. They do manage to defeat the Gendai, but he's this, as it turns out, Joker-esque villain, where by this point in the story, Phasma's gotten what she wants, the directions to Exegol, and also Hux, at the other place in the galaxy, will have won over the favor of the king on Kijimi, has access to this Kyber now, and the New Republic has found their way also to Coruscant when talking with the king, and have come in during the climax, with so much stuff going on, and invaded and basically get what they want out of the Gendai as well. So the Gendai dies surrounded by our heroes, but he dies laughing like a maniac because, as he reveals to them, he was initially kind of inspired by that character from Last Jedi, but not in a really shit way.
Just like playing both sides.
But playing both sides, where he just sees the heroes and he sees the villains as exactly the same. And he sees his death as completely inconsequential.
Yeah.
He's happy with the choices he's made in life. He's happy with the money he's made. But, now both sides have this greater technology and both sides have a greater way to tear each other apart. And there will always, at the end of the day, be someone like him, someone in the middle to profit whilst these two sides for eternity rip each other apart. And he dies quite happily knowing that. So our heroes do leave that planet in a state of failure. Phasma is able to get to Exegol, and we have maybe a little visual tease of that place for the first time. Ben has parted ways again, and he is also, as you guys have both said, in this really unbalanced, unsure state. He's no longer with Talon. He's lost Rey, and he's completely just lost and alone. And Rey has learned a really harsh lesson and suffered the consequences of that.
Yeah.
So sorry, it took a long time to get there. My first half of the movie is a lot more defined than the second.
Yeah, no, it was really nice, like hearing all of your stuff, especially like the Kijimi stuff and then the Thunderdome. It was a lot more of like it was almost like beat for beat exactly what I had in my head.
Yeah.
But like just more fleshed out, like how we're getting to each of these scenes and that kind of thing.
But as things go on, this film gets crazier, so it's hard to keep track of. Yeah.
So that's. I feel like after those three, it's very clear kind of like the directions we're heading in, the themes and tone, and like the locations and how much underworld stuff we want to bring into it.
Yeah, we're not far off, I think, from combining.
Yes,
really.
No, absolutely. Yeah. But I do want to jump into some other like more niche topics in the context of Episode 8. Obviously, just quickly touching on Episode 9. I think we have like the least amount for Episode 9, but I think something we agree on is it is the battle for Exegol. Whoever gets Exegol wins the Kyber War.
Yeah,
is how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, but it also makes sense. It's that's the grand villain and the grand weapon at play in this trilogy that we've tried to set up, because it is this nuclear war we're talking about, and it's like whoever controls the nukes controls the galaxy.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that
we've gone from like Episode 7, there's one weapon.
Yeah.
Episode 8, it's war for Kyber crystals like as a resource, and also Kyber weapons as a resource, stockpiling weapons.
War for that tech.
Yeah. And then Episode 9 is war for the use of the ultimate Kyber weapon, which is Exegol.
And that'll be our kind of like our Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
Both sides will have the opportunity to fire.
Yeah.
And who will do it?
And Leia's goal and the hero's goal is to just stop that entirely. It's like to make sure the Cuban Missile Crisis never happens. We don't want mutually assured destruction.
Yes. In case the audience is or they're obviously hearing this for the first time, in case they haven't looked at it from this perspective, our heroes are hippies who fight.
Yeah. But on the topic of Darth Talon.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like we need to jump in and talk about Darth Talon.
For sure. Yeah.
Can we talk about Talon? Let's talk about Talon.
Here's my pitch for Darth Talon. She is the opener of doors. She is the seer of the stars, and she doesn't have personal motivations.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I'm seeing Darth Talon right now, and I think that's something we've never seen before in Star Wars, and only in Kung Fu Panda 2 with the goat lady, played by Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
She doesn't have. She has like a motivation. She wants good to win in that movie. But she doesn't do anything. She doesn't actually make any action. She only tells people the future.
I like what you're saying. What you're talking about, though, is like a physical manifestation of the Force itself, no?
Sort of, yes.
Yeah.
But she's become that because she's like seen ancient Sith lore. She's seen like some giant Cthulhu beast, and it's like cracked her mind. It's kind of how I'm imagining her, as like a very Lovecraftian sort of character.
You're pitching her as the Oracle character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when she's interacting with Ben, she's only doing it in service of getting him to the point where he is contemplating the light and the dark, and he is facing his own destiny. She's doing it almost as though like as Yoda does to Luke, and showing like, here's the truth, here's the path before you. It's up to you what you do on that path. But it's the darker version. Of it.
So if I'm understanding, what you're suggesting is that she has a less active role in the film.
Yes.
Which is what I want.
Yes.
I'd love that.
I realize that is exactly what I want. Anytime she's doing anything, it is only in service of getting characters to a point where they have the paths to choose from.
That's great.
That's her goal.
I just want to make sure that it's not like just in a plot device way. The same way that I said, like I said, like the Oracle thing was the best I had for now.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of silly to just tell characters what to do.
Yeah.
Same deal, as long as we...
Yeah, she can't be like too active in it and stuff. And I think taking inspiration from the Oracle from The Matrix, because she's fucking incredible. And the Soothsayer from Kung Fu Panda 2. And having the characters who are less involved in the story, but have somewhat of a motivation, but their motivation is tied to other characters. That's what they care about.
My only like qualm with that is a character that's had like their brain broken through ancient Sith lore. I just don't imagine being the Oracle trying to lead everybody towards good.
I didn't say that.
You did say that.
No, I said Dark Yoda.
Yeah, Dark Yoda.
I was using Yoda as an example of like, only shows Luke, like, here's the path before you. You should choose the good one. She would do the exact opposite. She's only interested in showing people the paths, the most interesting paths. You know?
Okay.
That's why she's around.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no. I definitely want her to be leading everybody towards the
darker side.
The darker side.
She's Dark Yoda, is
Dark
how
Yoda.
I'm seeing her.
No,
Very cryptic, very speaks in riddles.
I'm very much for that, but I don't want her to have a grand plan. I agree that she should be minor, but like I feel like her goal should be to have Exegol get used.
Here's the thing. Picture this. She knows that there's the possibility that if Exegol's used, Palpatine could come back. She doesn't care either way, but she knows that like the dark side would be powerful if that were to happen. And so if she lines up the beans, the dominoes, so that they fall that way, she'd be happy. But there's other ways the dominoes could fall as well that she'd be happy as well. So she doesn't really care. That's how I see it. And she thinks that's interesting.
I feel like having Exegol as... like, Exegol needs to get used as a motivation for her would be interesting.
For me, it's more like she knows it's out there, and if the dominoes fall so that Phasma fires that button, she thinks that's awesome. She's never going to fire it herself. I hope that explains it maybe a bit better.
But she also though she's got to have an influence on the mindset of Luke and Rey though. Yeah, like she's got to.
How so? Like what do you mean by
like
that?
in terms of like, so in order to point them also in the same direction, does she have to at some point communicate with them, or like try and get inside their heads? Obviously, Luke's whole thing would be like not to listen to her, no, it's bullshit, but also he'd have that shadow of doubt in his mind to be like, oh, this is dangerous.
I think she's going through Ben Solo.
Okay.
I think that's kind of her vessel.
There being too much interaction between her and Luke.
So when Ben finds out about Rey's origins, it's probably through her.
Okay.
Would be my guess. And then that's a form of her manipulating Ben so that Ben will talk to Rey, and then Rey will be manipulated too.
Right.
And she can see all the dominoes. She knows how everything will fall, so that's why she's saying certain things and leaving certain things out. Because she wants she doesn't care exactly what happens, but she'd be happy if the evil thing happened. If Ben is conflicted and does come close to the dark side, that brings her joy.
I think if she's a conduit of the dark side, presenting herself as not that to Ben initially is a smart play.
That's why he would believe her.
Yeah, but then slowly just kind of getting darker with him.
Yes.
I think her overall goal just has to be for evil to prevail no matter what.
Yeah.
But like the stronger the dark side gets, and this is why I feel like she would want Exegol to get shot, is because the stronger the more darkness there is in the universe, the stronger the dark side gets, the stronger she inherently is.
Yes. I think for me though, that's why I find her so interesting, is because I don't see her as necessarily interested in power. That's why she's kind of confusing.
It just doesn't make sense for a Sith.
I get
she's
that.
Not a Sith.
But that's why she's Lady
not a Sith.
Talon.
Yeah.
That's why
Lady
Mello
Talon.
and I have both agreed we don't want her to be a Sith. I've just been calling her Darth Talon as just like a handy thing. I think Lady Talon's really good.
Lady Talon's interesting.
Star Wars fans might be on a train of thought
I think
where
she
Sandro is, where the dark side is as George has set up, is meant to inherently be selfish, but she's just going to have to be different to that.
And I think
we'll have to develop her in that way.
And this is the kind of writing that I love, and I find it very difficult, but it's really fun. Imagine that you know you're going to live for 1,000 years. And let's say if you were to shoot Exegol now, bad things would happen. The dark side gets more powerful. But if you were to shoot Exegol in 500 years from now, and even more bad stuff would happen, but you have to not shoot Exegol now, you would not shoot Exegol now. And that would immediately look like you're good. but long term, you're much worse.
Oh, it's an
Oh,
investment.
okay.
She's just a.
I'm not
she's
saying
in the
that's exactly what it
stocks.
is,
Yeah.
but it's like if you can't put yourself in the frame of mind of someone who is very different and sees the galaxy very different to you, sees time different, it's hard to see how they're evil.
I would
And that's why it's weird.
I'd like her to be quite old.
Yeah, no, she will be quite
Like
old.
Mm.
elderly.
Yes.
and blind, and I think,
blind.
Oh, that's
and
cool
she can
as
see
fuck,
the
actually.
future. So basically, Madam Web,
Oh my god,
my
she's
God.
Madam Web.
but the real Madam Web, the real one.
Oh my god. Fuck.
No, Old Blind Oracle is the classic. Like,
Old blind Oracle, but can she still be a Twi'lek?
she can still be a Twi'lek,
I absolutely
but not
want her to
sexualized.
be no, not sexualized.
No, she's old. She's an old lady.
You can be
Twi'lek.
old
You
and
can
hot.
sexualize
Okay,
people.
okay.
They did it to Helen Mirren.
Go sexualize your old people over there, guys.
Anyway, I hope that it's
I gotcha.
complicated, but it's.
Yeah.
I hope that clears it up a bit more. That's kind of what I would love to see from Lady
Yeah,
Talon,
that's fine.
which I really like that name, by the way.
Well, yeah. It's funny. I did need to name drop Madam Web because when you think about Madam Web and you think about what we're talking about, Madam Web
Yeah.
just stole from Greek oracles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
going to steal from Greek oracles.
Exactly. It's that same kind of archetype, and it's that same kind of archetypal writing that Lucas loved and used for Yoda.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's mine. If anyone feel free to jump in.
I think there's some cool lore there. It's weird that she's pro dark side and then, obviously not initially trying to get power for herself.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of ways you can spin it because it's there for a reason. It's there for a thematic reason why the dark side is selfish.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go against that theme. I'm just trying to think of how you'd spin it. Maybe it's just more beneficial for her to not be the one doing all the dark deeds and just persuading everybody else to do.
And I think that's what sets her aside from someone like Darth Maul or Darth Sidious, where she doesn't need to be the main character.
Yeah.
She knows, like Varys from fucking Game of Thrones. If she is the spider, like the master of birds and stuff, master of secrets,
Yes.
she can manipulate things more by not being the center of attention. And I love that kind of character.
I think it might all come down to her motivations
Yeah.
because we can. It's an obvious statement. We can just look into her personal history a bit more and I think adjust things. So if she was a student of Maul who learnt to hate both the Jedi and the Sith and wanted to see both destroyed,
Yeah.
her plan for manipulating the dark side to be powerful, she knows that the Force does not, the light side does not destroy, the dark side destroys. And so if her plan is to try and strengthen the dark side to a point of galactic destructional proportions, that's her fulfilling her old master's wish, fulfilling this lifelong journey she's been on.
Using the
potentially,
dark to destroy both
to
sides.
destroy everything.
Yeah, I
you know?
gotcha.
Just,
That's interesting.
and a real chaotic villain in that sense. And also quite mirrored to the Gendai. Interesting to have
I was almost
Yeah, very
villains with
neutral.
similar motivations, you know?
I was almost thinking because the Darth Maul thing would have been so long ago
Yeah.
that it doesn't even matter to her anymore.
Mm.
Like
That's-
she's just cracked at this point. Like it's not like a matter of revenge or like fulfilling any like
Definitely not revenge. That's definitely not it. I agree
Yeah.
with you there. But I think his mentality can still have affected her and the way she's changed over the years
Those
as
were
like
her
a foundational
formative years.
Yeah,
We're thinking,
right.
I was always thinking she was like 15
yes,
when she was his
yeah,
apprentice. She was young and impressionable.
yeah.
Mm.
And so he created like that foundation of thought and philosophy. But I
Oh,
think
okay.
I agree that it's definitely not a revenge story. She doesn't care about revenge for Maul.
yeah.
Just destruction.
But like, yeah, his philosophy formed her philosophy in a way. I think, as like a parent would
Right.
as well. And yeah, so it's this kind of stuff that's like very tricky. But I'm really really excited about her.
But also like chaos, just general chaos and causing just like evil and destruction in the world is very following in with the path of like the Macbeth, you
Mm.
know, like the three witches at the start.
Yeah.
But then
Mm.
also like the three sisters who sow like death or whatever in Greek
Yeah,
stuff. We were trying
the
to
weavers.
remember what that was the other day. They are all about creating chaos and death.
Yeah, and
So-
they revel in the misery of the mortals whose
Yeah.
lives they're like, here's your destiny, and then they watch them struggle to get out of it, and the
Yeah.
exact steps they take to get away from that fate lead them to it, and they love it the whole time.
Yep.
And because they're twisted, evil old ladies,
That's it.
that's the stereotype.
That's it.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about Darth Talon for a bit, and then if you're listening and you're skeptical about it, I hope that makes you feel better. I hope you're like, oh, that is an exciting
Not
character.
Darth. Yeah. there you
Yeah,
go.
Lady Talon. But we've also got other things we can dive into. Just a quick one. The Finn and Chewie buddy cop. I am
Yeah.
obsessed with. I
It's
don't know
fun.
how it's going to quite work yet, but I think if you just saying those words makes me happy. So
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, you know, obviously I'm wanting to bring Poe into the fold more.
yeah, I'm not sure about that.
You
personally.
guys were having Poe be this character who would betray Finn.
I was thinking that he could be.
I'm no longer thinking that.
Yeah, you'll come around. But I want to see Poe die.
Yeah, I
in
want to
this
see Poe
movie.
die as well.
I
wanna
think he
see-
needs to be brought in and then die in this
I
movie.
want to see Poe die next film. I want
Okay.
to see him be our Stakes death.
Yeah.
In 9.
And I didn't hate what you were messing with as well, Mello, where you said that if he is, a spy working for the Resistance who has infiltrated the underworld, having him die in that film as like a showing that, underworld characters and characters who are born in like horrible circumstances, who are in the life of crime,
Yeah.
showing them as more relatable or showing them as like just human people or like relatable people, and then killing him.
Yeah, it's savage. But then the other point that I can concede with, if we run with something more like your guys, where it's like, yeah, you think he's coming around and then he dies, that's perhaps a more brutal, maybe more realistic way of looking at like that circular nature
Like,
nature
yeah,
of
the
the life of
violence.
crime, where it's like, once you're in, how do you ever get
That's
out
it.
of
You
it?
just, you're going to
And
die.
That's a real pessimistic way of looking
It
at
is,
it,
it
boys.
is.
Yeah, but
I personally, my favorite version so far is that he is a Resistance pilot who is secretly controlled by the underworld, but controlled by the Gendai.
Yeah.
And so as he leads them through into the underworld and he gets them trapped there, then he betrays them
Yeah.
and reveals that he's a double agent. That's my favorite, but we'll keep working on Poe.
Now, like, I didn't touch on it in this one, but like, because I don't want it to play a controlling interest, like Sandro like pointed this out last time. But like, I've toyed with the idea of the dyad is a prophesized thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
me,
Okay.
I don't want fate to be the controlling factor. I really don't. But the idea of identity within these characters and the fact that the dyad, therefore their lineages, their destiny is a part of their identity, does play a role.
I think
So
it
I
can
can't
play a
not
role.
talk about it.
I just don't think it needs to be used as a plot device. I feel like I'd rather have the dyad be something that just exists and not be some kind of like prophecy, not
Yeah.
tie into any like activation to Exegol and
I think
I
you can just
never wanted anything specific to do with that.
I think you can just say like you are the Force child of Palpatine. You are the grandson of Vader. You are linked together, and that's it. That's all you really need
I
to
can
say
imagine
out loud.
like that being a Talon.
Straight up a
thing.
line from Lady Talon, and I think here's what I want, Mello. In the same vein as the dyad Destiny stuff, I want Lady Talon's Destiny stuff to feel exactly like when Luke goes to Vader and Empire Strikes Back. It feels like a fated thing.
It does.
It feels like, and no one has said this is a prophecy. No one has said anything like this. It is just like, you making this decision is really important, and you've fucking made the wrong one, and you've lost your hand.
Yeah.
Like it feels important, but it isn't stated to be important.
That's fair.
That's kind of what I want to do. With
I
the
get what
Destiny
you mean.
Stuff.
The one thing I wanted, like, that I pre-pitched you guys was that the dyad, when the dyad has been this thing that has occurred in the past, the dyad brings about great galactic change.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wanted to plant the seeds of that for stuff to go into episode 9, because I have a episode 9 plan that I wrote in tandem with the episode 8 plan.
Yeah.
And I think this is just a personal preference for me, but I think the story isn't strengthened by saying that out loud. You can just show the dyad and these two characters have directly, by their actions, caused huge galactic change.
Right. Okay, I get
And
you.
if so, you want to be this, nerdy little neckbeard with a pair of glasses on going, meh, and you're reading through all the manuscripts and the comics and everything, and you go, oh, the dyad caused great galactic change. That must be like this prophetic thing. I made fun of nerds there. That was unnecessary. If you're passionate about it, like no hate or anything, but that is for you, as opposed to on screen saying this prophecy will cause this change.
Yeah.
That's my personal preference anyway.
And it's weird for me to be in favor of it, because I don't like prophecies, but that's what I wanted to do, was have a prophecy that doesn't come true.
Yeah. And that's why I like Lady Talon, because she can see where the dominoes might fall, and she wants this one path where Exegol is fired. And when it doesn't happen, she'll probably be frustrated. Like, that's what I want. And it is that destiny of like, oh, this horrible galactic change is coming, and you're going to be the hand that presses the button or something.
In 9, does Lady... I imagine Lady Talon making it to 9.
Yeah,
think
but
so.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I always had Phasma just kill her off really early on.
Do
There
you
you go.
think she could crack?
And just like,
Just
break
snap?
bad kind of thing, and like,
Just...
I'll press the fucking
Did
button.
you say break bad?
break
Yeah.
bad.
Break bad.
And like,
she's already... Like, I know she's already cracked.
yeah,
But then, like, just cracked to the point where it's like, I'm just going to kill people now.
potentially.
Can she kill people?
I want... Okay, bear with me on this one. I want her and Luke to have a fight in
Okay.
episode 7, because she is giving Ben time to do something that Luke doesn't want Ben to do.
Yeah, just pursue and kill Phasma.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like buying time, something like that. And then the moment Ben has done what needs to be done, she stops fighting Luke and leaves. And she's like, I've done what needed to be done, and then leaves.
yep.
And
I-
that's how we get our red on green fight.
I really didn't want her to be a part, like, or even in the room for the the Ben versus Rey fight, and I think I've thought of like a thought process for her that kind of works, where she's like, and like maybe the first stumble in her sort of like way, where she's like, oh, okay, I'm going to have the grandson of Vader and I'm going to have this Force child of Palpatine fight. No matter what, this is going to be a win-win. One of them is going to kill each other and become immensely consumed by the dark side.
Yeah.
And then things don't go away when Rey refuses to like kill Ben or do anything to Ben.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
She's chosen
the
the
first
light.
stump in her plan.
And then she gets to episode 9 and she's like, well, you're both still alive. That's annoying. That sucks.
Got to go back to the drawing board. I
Yeah.
imagine she's in her bedroom, right? She's just got this whiteboard.
She has this board.
This
she's got
this
board,
mind
this
map.
exact
Yeah.
board, yeah. Now, there's something else I wanted to bring up as well. The Gendai and the Mystery Crime World.
Yeah.
Mello, I was hoping that you'd have a pitch for what that world would look like.
Yeah.
The fact that it's Rust Town repurposed, I love.
Yeah,
I
cool.
fucking love that.
But on Coruscant. Coruscant is post-apocalyptic.
You want it to be on Coruscant. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's where I was saying. So for the audience, early on, I thought of introducing post-apocalyptic Coruscant, which was destroyed in the final days of the Empire, basically abandoned by everything other than the Gendai and Gendai society.
So here's my counter pitch for that.
Yeah.
Have it be Rust Town as a planet. It's like desert kind of scrappy planet.
Okay.
And the
More
investigation
Mad
leads them
Max.
there.
I'm happy with that.
The investigation leads them there. They investigate there. The Gendai's there in secret. No one thinks of Coruscant because that's where he's hiding, and no one lives there at all. It's like a completely abandoned wasteland. There's no like actual crime organization.
And that's just because I still want Luke and Rey to go there. Is that just what they explore?
Yes,
Is
the temple.
Coruscant? Yeah, cool.
So that's kind of where I was coming
No
from.
inhabitants is also great.
Yeah, I wanted Coruscant. I've been imagining Coruscant as like uninhabitable. Like it's like completely like a
They
post.
gotta wear masks while they get there, but then when they get down beyond the depths, they're like, it's breathable.
Oh, it's breathable. Yeah. Something like that would be cool, and then something like monsters of some kind
Yeah.
roaming the streets and that kind of thing. So it is this like very barren, very unforgiving location,
Yep.
as opposed to the somewhat habitable, like obviously like very unwelcoming, but it's still like a livable planet where it's like the Rust Town or scrap planet.
Well, we
whatever it
could
is.
bring it back, boys. Look at that.
That's my
Isn't
pitch
that
for that, and then that also helps us keep to the Star Wars thing of having like a planet or a meteor per location kind of thing.
And then how's about
that
this?
helps.
So we've got then 3 planets for this film.
So far 3, yes,
which would be
there's space for a 4th.
Yeah. But it would be you only ever really need 3. I think is the average. Sometimes there's a 4th.
Oh no, you're
In
right.
the prequels as well.
Yeah, no. When I was outlining each of the movies, there's usually like 4 key set pieces, but they don't need necessarily be 4 different planets.
Some of them are double
So-
up in the same planet.
Yeah.
What are they?
So, but for this one, it's just really fun. They're all wastelands. You've got
Well, Kijimi's not a wasteland.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like remote.
it's like the Himalayas across the entire planet.
Yeah.
Snowy, rocky.
Yeah.
And in the depths is mines and shit.
Which I love.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Then you've got an abandoned urban planet.
Yeah.
Wasteland. Destroyed city across the entire thing, and then just a desert junkyard.
Oh yeah, desert junkyard, and then Coruscant of like abandoned ancient Coruscant.
Yeah.
And then also tiny bit of Arc 2. Are they still training in your guys's?
I don't have Arc 2 in the film.
So Arc
At
2, I'm not as certain on because I think, Mello, I really liked how you started with Rey and Luke, is they're doing the mission first. Because really, Luke should be doing 2 things. Helping Leia out with the Resistance and keeping the younglings safe.
Yeah.
So if we're
Start
not
in the action.
if we're not seeing him keep the younglings safe, then he has to be in the action. So I think that's a good way to start movie 2.
So it's basically just throw them to the wayside, and then we name drop line implication.
But you can
They're being defended somehow.
Yeah, with like Lawson Tech is watching them for the day while Luke is here. But you can infer that Rey has been there training.
Yeah, absolutely, and we show that through her abilities.
Yeah.
And I think we also set up security droids in episode 7.
Yes,
Like
we
Luke
definitely,
had training droids and stuff there.
Yeah, that's definitely on the cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of this is
So, yeah,
looking and
yeah.
feeling
Yeah,
neat
yeah.
and tidy.
Yeah.
I would love to hear some thoughts. If everyone
Please,
sends their comments
please.
in, we're always very curious.
Can we call out people who often say they'll leave me comments but then don't?
Yeah, you can do that.
James Yates, send us your comments.
And just a quick final note, I'm loving the dyad stuff with the lightsabers. There's so much potential there for their journey being reflected in their lightsabers and the crystals and how they're like cracking or colored and changed.
Oh, did you
that.
like the color?
Yeah, I
colours?
like that. I
Yeah.
still think it needs like some. I have some ideas for that,
Yeah,
that I
of
want
course,
to throw out
yeah,
as
yeah.
well. But in terms of like their journeys with their crystals and their lightsabers and stuff, I think that can be a very core part of their journey because we haven't really had a chance to see that
No,
properly
we
on screen. And I think with these two characters in this dyad, having their lightsaber journeys reflect that as well is really interesting.
And specifically, like developing their connection a lot through their Force booty calls.
Yeah.
Didn't say it was that bad. But also, like, as Sandro told us last week when we were talking about this early, those sort of like Jedi Temple go on your Force journey adventures that you only find in Clone Wars and Rebels we haven't seen in the live action before.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's an opportunity there. But thank you so much for listening. This has been Fixing the Sequel Trilogy. We're here every month talking about Star Wars and writing and all sorts of things. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us a like and subscribe, etc., etc. Next month, we'll be back with probably more of this.
Yeah.
We'll see. We haven't exactly defined it in yet, but we'll be definitely doing more work on episode 8 between now and then. So we'll see you next month. Until then, may the Force be with you.